Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the War Train here. In today's video, I'm going to be replying to my buddy Ace from Fit to Play Games. Now, recently Ace put out a video where he wanted to know if a bunch of us wanted to have a remake, what game would that be? What would be our ideal game to just see be remade in the style of all these modern remakes we've been getting? Now, to jog your memory, if you haven't been around in the last couple years, we have been getting so many damn remakes, it's crazy. But I gotta say, a lot of these remakes have been just excellent. And honestly, these are excellent games that have been picked to be remade for the one reason: money. They make them because they want to make money. These are games that did good back in the day, and honestly, these remakes are big business. They're doing excellent. Now, if you haven't been around, I'm going to jog your memory with some of these. So, I got a stack of my games here that are remakes, and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. Now, not just remasters where they just took the original game, put it in HD, and called it a day. No, these are full-on remade games like Medieval for the PlayStation, or Shadow of the Colossus, that got a remake. Or more recent, we had these horror beauties here: Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Excellent games. We also had Crash Team Racing. And we can't forget Crash Insane Trilogy, another great one here. Or maybe the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And then we had some RPG, Secret of Mana, pulling back from the Super Nintendo days, and also pulling back from the Super Famicom days. Something we didn't get here in the US back then. They got it in Japan on the Famicom. Trials of Mana. We had this Trials of Mana released in 2019, the Super Famicom version. Excellent sprite-based game. But we got this beauty recently. And we can't forget this excellent remake here, Link's Awakening, or this one here, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And honestly, these two are my favorite to come out of the last couple of years. These ones are awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, if I had to choose my personal game I would like to see just remade above all else, that's a tough one. Honestly, it took me days to think of this, because man, all kinds of things went through my head. We're talking Super Metroid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I even went to Donkey Kong Country because I remember seeing on YouTube here where people were playing a basically a modern version of Donkey Kong Country, where somebody worked on it and basically built the game in HD with a modern engine, and it looked absolutely awesome. I really wanted to play that, and I was hoping that would be a game that they were actually making, but unfortunately it wasn't. And who knows, Nintendo probably had that ripped down or probably took those people to court. Who knows, they love to do that stuff. But I would love to see tons of different games be remade, because some of these older games, are still being played because they're so great, and they're being remade because they're so great and they make money. And some of these games being 20, 30 years old, still making tons of money for these developers and major companies. Now, as far as my favorite one that one that I would like to see be remade, honestly, it is very tough. And I couldn't just choose one. It was just way too hard. So I cheated, like anybody would do. I picked 2 sets of 2 games. Now, they're both kind of tied to each other in each setting. And the first one is kind of the realistic one that probably would get remade. And then the last one I'll show you is the one that I really want to see be remade, but chances of it happening are probably zero. I just can't see it happening. But anyway, I'll show you guys. So let's check this out. So if I had to have some games or a game be remade, I would have this as my realistic remake. And that is Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, and Oracle of Ages. Now, technically, these are two different games, but they're kind of one game in a way, where you have to play one after another to beat the game, because you have to get a code from one of the games to put into the other one so you can actually play it all the way through. So in modern times, this would just be one game, but that's how, they did it years back when they would have never had it fit on, one of these cartridges. So yeah, I would love to see this get the Link's Awakening treatment. I think that would be excellent. Now, if it would happen, I don't know. These games were technically made by Capcom. They were helping Nintendo out back then. They made another Legend of Zelda game as well, besides these two. But these two, I believe, would be the ones to remake just because they're the closest to Link's Awakening. They actually share very similar designs, because they were built both or, all on the Game Boy. These two, specifically the Game Boy Color and, Link's Awakening, specifically the Game Boy, which got a remaster or deluxe version on the Game Boy Color. But, these games would be excellent using that Link's Awakening engine and just making these games have that same level of polish. Now, when they remake a lot of these games, now there is some things that kind of get left out or just don't make the cut, and sometimes that isn't always for the best. Sometimes that actually hurts the game. And just because a game gets remade doesn't mean the original is then void. The original is still a masterpiece and an absolute classic, but it probably has flaws. And honestly, the remake is probably going to have some flaws because there is no perfect game. Now, even take Link's Awakening, for instance. You had a side quest in the main original game or the deluxe version on Game Boy Color where you got your pictures taken. You got pictures in certain parts of the game and you could actually miss out on them and not be able to get that picture. So you'd have to play the game over and try to get in all them certain spots so you could get those pictures if you wanted to, 100% complete the game. And they were really cool and they looked really neat, and I think they added a lot to that game. Now that was taken out, and then they put this Dompe, the Gravedigger's, dungeon builder or whatever, and it was pretty much underbaked and done kind of subpar. I don't think taking out the pictures for that was needed. I think they still could have left the pictures in, but the guys, the animal's house that took your picture, that's where Dompe the Gravedigger now was. So they kind of swapped it out there. So I don't know. The grave digging dungeon mechanic thing, it was too limited and it restricted the player way too much, in my opinion. Not bad, but they could have did better. And that was the biggest gripe. Plus two, it wasn't hooked up online. So you couldn't share any dungeons that you made. And when you made a dungeon, it had to be done with their rules. And the rules were very restrictive. So in that sense, like I said, sometimes a remake can put things in a game that weren't there and maybe take away things that were fine and maybe shouldn't have been taken out. But like I said, there's no perfect game. And a lot of people could say the same thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though that is just the beginning of the actual Final Fantasy VII game itself, just the Midgar area. you know, there was things changed and actual major story elements were changed. So some people may not like that, but it's honestly probably not easy to do a remake because you're walking a very fine line with people nostalgia for that game and also trying to appeal to a totally new crowd, because the main thing is making that sweet dollar. But those are the games that realistically I would like to see. Now, the ones that I personally would want to see above even those are these two right here, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Ocarina, the sequel basically to Ocarina, Majora's Mask. Now, these games I believe could be both remade and put on one cartridge or one disc or whatever Nintendo would put them on. But man, these could really use to be remade. These are excellent games, both of them. You know, some people like one more than the other. It doesn't matter, you know, but they're both excellent games in their own right. And a lot of people love each one of these games. Like I said, you know, some people maybe one more than the other. That's why I say put both of them remade together onto one cartridge or disc and call it a day. Because man, I'll tell you what, I've seen people here on YouTube play where they took the game and built it on Unreal Engine 5 or Unreal Engine 4, I mean, and wow, it looks amazing with modern lighting, modern textures, just more modern mechanics. It looks awesome, and man, these games could really use that. You know, they're both masterpieces in their own right, and you know, by messing with the games, you could take away some stuff, that's true, but I think you would gain way more here than you would lose. Now, some people do call these remakes, and I'm sorry, but these are not remakes. These are basically remasters, if anything. They basically put some updated textures and added some things and put some 3D in there. And yeah, they're awesome. I mean, I think these are great ways to play these games. They did add stuff and take some stuff away. You know, they definitely added some quality of life features. Some weren't warranted. Like in Majora's Mask, the Zora that you control, the swimming is different and it's weird. And the Deku Scrub controls different. That's a little weird. But, you know, that, like I said, things happen in these remakes. But these are more remasters. Like I said, I would like to see a full-on remake. Current generation, you know, not using dated hardware, using current hardware, and building these games 100% from the ground up. That is my ideal game. So, Ace, my answer to you is Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, both on one game. Because honestly, Majora's Mask is the sequel to Ocarina of Time, and they came out so close together. They used the same, basically, you know, assets and sprites and all that stuff. So it only kind of, for me, makes sense for them to be in one package. Plus two, with the size of games now, technically that could be the size of one game now, because the games now are absolutely just huge. But that's my ideal game, guys. Let me know what you think. What is your ideal game that you would love to see be remade? I would love to hear about it. You know, and again, Ace, thanks for calling upon me and a bunch of us to make these videos. Really appreciate it, buddy. Guys, go check out his channel, Fit2Play Games, with 2 and 3 exclamation points at the end. And he's also doing a Switch Lite giveaway, just like I was doing, guys. So if you're interested, go check out his channel, subscribe, check out that Switch Lite video, so you guys could get entered in that giveaway before it ends in June. So get on that, guys. But thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, guys, think about subscribing to the channel. I try to put gaming content out like this as much as I can. And if you enjoyed the video, guys, give it a thumbs up. But that's it. I'm the War Train, and I'm out. Have a good one, guys.